Ever wanted to learn how to can green beans? Well, today's your chance. Even if we're only getting 3 jars, it's the beginning of the season and the beans are just starting to come in, and I want to show you how to can. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Farming Pastor's Wife. I'm sitting in one of my favorite spots doing one of my favorite things, and that is to string and snap beans. The beans are just starting to come in, so I didn't get much, but I'm going to put up what I get, and we're going to can it. I've got, oh my goodness, cucumbers coming in like crazy. So I will be doing some more pickles. And before I do a video on pickling, I've got to perfect my recipe. You know, the last batch I did was, oh my goodness, they were so salty. I'm going to have to write on the cans. I don't want to throw them away. I mean, I guess if I had to leave them the way they were, I would throw them away. But what I'm doing is, when I open a jar, I'm going to pour the brine off and fill the jar up with water and maybe switch that water out a few times. Those pickles won't go to anybody. Those will be just for us. But I will put a note on the lid so I know that they're the ones. So I'm actually going to cut my salt in half today. Now, my only concern with that is that the salt may help in keeping it crispy. So, I don't know. We'll see. So, I'm excited to do some more pickles. Going to do green beans. Now, I can my green beans probably a little bit different than you guys. I don't remember how I used to do it. I used to do it, you know, I'd keep it at 10 pounds for so many minutes or 15 pounds for so many minutes. I can't remember. And you had to keep adjusting your temperature on your stove to keep it at that pound for those many minutes. When Bryant and I first decided to go into the ministry, we were at this church in Randleman, North Carolina. And the pastor's wife there was absolutely precious. She has since gone to be with the Lord. But she told me a foolproof way to do it. And it made me nervous at first because, you know, pressure canners, I was like, oh. She says, don't you worry about it. You just do what I tell you and you'll be fine. So you fresh pack them just like you normally would. Put the hot water and salt on them. And put them in your jars. Put the jars in the canner. You bring the canner. You get the canner. Now you have to watch it at first till you get it there. You get it to 18 pounds. And then you just cut it off. You cut the stove off. You don't have to keep walking in there and adjusting it. And y'all, ever since I've been doing it that way, my cans are foolproof. They're perfectly canned. They're delicious. I've never had anything go wrong by doing it that way. And I've been doing it her way for, let's see, that was probably in 2000. So 19 years. You know, not every year did I can, but for the most part I did. And so I'm just going to sit here. And y'all, it was so funny. Somebody sent me this song, this gospel song, and said it reminded them of me. And I just love it. It was church in the kitchen. Having church in the kitchen. And boy, do I have church. I mean, I have it anywhere. But yes, when I'm at home alone, especially if I got my music going, or if I'm listening to, you know, a spiritual podcast or something. Boy, I had church in the garden yesterday picking these beans. My goodness, was listening and thinking about Jacob and when he wrestled with God and he wanted God to bless him, and he wrestled with the angel of the Lord and would not let go until God had touched him, and it left him crippled. It left him crippled, him wrestling with the Lord and the angel of the Lord. It left him crippled. And you know what? I want everything that God has for me, even if it leaves me crippled. And because that life is better than a life without being blessed by the Lord. So I'm just going to snap the beans. I'll bring you back. I'll turn the camera back on when it's time to do the next step. I've got my hair up in a ponytail because I got hot last night. Now that my hair is getting longer, I know y'all think that my hair is getting stringy, and it is. But I'm in the process of letting it get to a certain length before I do anything with it. So it's in that odd, terrible stage. So I can't stand it on my neck at night when I'm asleep, so I put it up in a ponytail. It's not quite long enough to go up as high as I like it. But yeah, so we're gonna, I'll turn the camera back on when I get all my beans snapped and it's time to get to canning. So y'all have a good day, and I'll bring you back in just a little bit when I get this done. I did think I would bring you back and show you the perfect beans to pick. Now, any size, I mean, unless they get really big and huge, you don't want them huge, but like we called it Shelly's when they get big enough that the actual bean popped out of the pod, and we called those beans that got out into your cans called Shelly's. I don't know where that name come from. It's just what my mama called it. But if you pick your bean young enough, you'll see that there's no string. There's no string, and it just snaps. I mean, it's just perfect. Now this one, it's still a bean, and I'm going to can it. But it's a little bit bigger than... I have to be more careful when I'm snapping these, because it's got a string now. Can you see that? It's got a string all the way. And I just take it and come back down this side. It's the same kind of bean. It's the same kind of bean. It's just the age that you pick it at. Now, don't not pick these, or don't throw these away. They're still great. They're still wonderful. You just got to be a little more careful. And like I said, even if it gets a little bit bigger than that, just be sure you get your strings off, and some of the beans will pop out into your can, and the Shelly's. I'm not sure where that name came from. But anyway, I just wanted to show you the right size bean to pick. Now, I do have a few in here that may be, let's see if I can find one, a little too little. Well, that one's not. You can get them too little, and you want to leave them to ripen. But if you accidentally, and that's what happened, was I would accidentally, I could see several hanging there, and I would reach in and accidentally picked a few that were too small. This one's definitely too small. But I'm not going to throw it away either. They're just as good. So, now if they get really, really, really big, the outside becomes kind of tough, and it's not pleasurable as far as eating it and the feel of it. So if it's really big, you just want to toss those. But my beans are just starting to come in. There's not a bug bite anywhere on these. I've only found one bug bite. And I always, when I'm when I'm snapping them, I always keep me a little knife, just in case I do see a bug bite or a bad spot or something that I can just kind of cut it out. But anyway, I wanted to show you that. I know I'm not ready to can yet, but I just wanted to show you that so you would know, because not everybody has picked beans. Not everybody has canned beans. So somebody may be just starting a garden and having a garden for the first time, and I wanted to show them what kind of bean to look for. Okay guys, I have gone out and got my canner, and I've got it washed up. I've got my jars washed, and I wanted to show you a few things about my canner. It is old as the hills. It was my mama's, and I don't know, it may have been her mama's before that. But I'm going to show you my canner and show you where I'm going to fill the water to and tell you about the lids, but I'm going to turn the camera around while we do that. Okay, here is my old Presto, I think it is. Maybe not. I'm not sure what brand it is, but it's a canner. You can see the old water line. I've just washed it, so it is clean, but you can just tell where it's been used year after year after year. It has this rack that looks terrible, but it's clean. I just washed it. It goes, I always leave it down in the bottom, but actually what it's for is if you do pints, you can set this on top of your pints and do a second layer, but I always just put it in because I don't want to lose it. This pot will be for my hot water that I pour over my green beans. This is the lid. Let's see if it is it is a Presto. It's a Presto Deluxe. So it has the gauge on top. It has the steam valve, and that is actually where you put the weight. This is the weight that we will eventually put the weight there. And it also, inside the lid goes this gasket. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about that. These can dry rot, and you may need to replace these. I have heard that if you store them by putting some Vaseline, some petroleum jelly on them, that keeps them from dry rotting. I don't know. I've never done it. I do think we have replaced this, and you may have to go to a hardware store, or I don't know, you may even have to contact Presto to find out how to replace your gaskets or whatever brand you have. So I've washed it up. I've washed my jars. I think I probably cannot get 4 jars out of this. I'm not sure how many beans we're going to have, so I just went ahead and washed 4 jars. Now, I am old school on the lids. They now say you don't have to heat your lids, because used to we would put them in water and boil them and get them out as we filled them up. And they say you don't have to do that anymore, but I still do. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get everything ready. I'm going to get the water in the canner. What I'll do is I get my jars hot. And when I put my water in my canner, I go ahead and stick my jars in there to get them hot. So I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm getting my water hot in my canner, and I'm getting my jars hot. So I'm going to get that started, and then we'll start washing our beans. Okay guys, what I have done is I have brought my beans, the bowl of beans right here that I have, and I've just sat the bowl in the sink. This side of my sink over here I've stopped up. I put the little stopper in here. And I'm just going to run, not warm water, but I don't want it too terribly cold either, so cool water. And I just run my hands over it. I'm also, as I'm washing them, I'm also looking for any strings that I may have missed. And I want to get those off. I'm looking for any little bug bites. I don't know if you can see those little bites there that I missed. So I'll get my knife. Cut those out. If it was just me going to be eating these beans, those little bites don't bother me, but you know, I may have a guest over here and they don't want to look at a bug bite on their bean. Most of them have scabbed over and healed, and it's just where something that's either a bug has bitten it, or maybe the trellis wire got up next to it. I don't worry about it, but I do take them out just because. And these beans were so beautiful. There's hardly any blemishes at all. So I just take a handful. I'm looking for any strings, and I transfer them over here to this sink. And then I just kind of toss them around in the water. And y'all, I can already tell you these beans are wonderful because my water has not even, there's hardly any change in the color of my water. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to transfer them over here. Well, hang on. I'm about done. The whole time I'm looking for strings or bites or anything that I don't want in my canned beans. I don't think I'm going to get, I might get 3 jars. I don't know. We shall see. Oh, and listen, I do have a flat top stove, and they say not to can on a flat top stove. So that is up to you whether you heed that or not. We've lived here for, I've had this stove for 3 years, and I have canned for 3 years. Look, peeping in the door. I've canned for 3 years, and I've never had any problem. So, and I figured if I do have a problem and it breaks my stove, I'll just go get a new one.
What's happening?
I'm washing beans.
Good morning, everybody. I have been in the chicken house. You see that sweat, you see that dirt. I've been tilling the garden. I've been working hard so you can watch videos like this.
He has. I couldn't do it without him. Okay, so I'm just going to wash and transfer back over to the bowl, and I think that'll be good. These beans were beautifully clean and no bites, hardly any strings because this was the first picking. So I'm going to transfer them over to this side, and then hopefully by then my jars will be hot and we'll be ready to fill the jars. Okay guys, I'm only putting 2 lids and rings in hot water to begin with. I don't want to waste any lids. So I'm just putting them in water, and I'm going to get them going, getting them hot. My beans are washed, my jars are hot. I just need to get these hot, and my water that goes in over my beans hot, and we'll be ready to can beans. Okay guys, I have almost an assembly line set up here. Let me see if I can get the camera back just a little bit further. So you guys can see. Sorry if you can't. I need my tripod. I'm just bringing my jars over here. I'm being sure they're out, they're hot. I've just heated them up in the canner that they're going to go in. Some of them have water in them, so I'm dumping that water out. Use that one last. And I heated 4 jars. I've only heated 2 lids right now. The, oh goodness, let's see, I'm gonna have to get them. They fell over and I couldn't grab them. Okay, so hopefully my lids and my water will get hot. Alright, now let's see, where's my funnel? Y'all, this was even my mom's funnel. Look how old, and it's not even like it's not even a perfect circle anymore. You can get these funnels in Walmart in the canning section. They have a whole canning kit. In fact, I'm going to go get that kit just to have an extra one. Now, as you can see, I put a towel down, and you'll understand why I did that in just a minute. So I'm just getting these beautiful green beans, and this is called fresh packing because I'm not cooking the beans first. I'm putting them in here as is. So my towel is here so I can kind of beat down the beans and make more room. And sometimes if I get it, I fill it pretty full. About, you know, where the ring part starts, where the neck of the jar starts, I kind of stop there. All right. I'm not exactly sure how many beans I'm gonna get. Y'all, I have Cloroxed everything down. I told y'all when I start canning, my sinks get Cloroxed all the time anyway, but they really get Cloroxed when I'm canning. And they when you bounce them on the sink like that, they shake down and you create room. Alright, I want to do this jar first. We're going to get 3 quarts out of the very first initial picking. And I mean, they're just starting to come in. Y'all, if you've watched any of my gardening videos, we trellised them different than we ever have. And I told Bryant a while ago, we'll never do it another way. Now, y'all, I only have a handful left. I don't even really have enough to cook for supper. So, my family will just make a good snack for us. We all of us love raw green beans. So we will snack on those. And y'all, these are great green beans. These are half runners, and sometimes half run, if you let them get too big, they can get tough. But if you get them now when they're good and tender and young, oh my goodness, they're delicious. Alright, I'm going to leave that funnel. Alright, what I'm going to do now, well, I'm going to take it off for a minute. I'm going to put a teaspoon of salt in my green beans. Alright. Now, I have a butter knife here, and you'll see what that's for. I'm going to bring my water. It's not quite hot enough. So, let me wait and get it hot enough, and I'll bring you over here. Okay, guys, I brought my water over here. Put my funnel back on. And I'm just dipping in this hot water. And I'm just going to fill right up to the rim. Not to the edge, but to where the rings start. I'm going to cover the beans, basically. Now, I know there's canning science, and you really need to get you one of those canning books that tells you all the science behind everything. I guess it's about a ½ inch from the top. And I'm going to go ahead and fill all my jars. And then I'll show you what I use the butter knife for. You know, I know all your canning experts would probably frown on the way I do it as far as getting it to 18 pounds and then just cutting it off. But you know what? I'd rather listen to a lady who I know has done this all her life. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the pastor's wife I was telling you about. Plus, it's been foolproof for me. I've never had a jar not seal. Now, there's a first time for everything. But the experts have reasons in why they do things, but you know. Alright, so I'm going to take my butter knife, and if you had a skewer or something like that, that'll work just as good. But I kind of push down around the sides just to make sure I don't have any air bubbles like locked in there. And if I see I may need to add more liquid, I can at this point. I just kind of go around the edges, the side. Now while I was waiting for my water to get hot, I realized I had 3 jars, so I went ahead and put my 3rd lid and ring in. Now y'all, to me there is nothing that smells any better than processing green beans. And when I open that canner to get them out, oh my goodness, it smells so good. Alright. Put my lid and ring on, and I just get it to fingertip tight. I don't take my hand and go real tight with it. I just get it as tight as my fingertips can get it. I may need a little water in that one. Will you put some more pickle relish in that?
I will.
And one more. Now here's where I'm iffy. I have never had less than a 7-quart canner. So I'm hoping that doesn't make a difference. But we're just going to do 3 quarts.
It won't matter.
I just don't want them to jingle around and hit each other and break. That's my... Alright, all the jars are over here in my canner. Let me show you. There they are. I'm now going to put the lid on. Can you come over here and film that? Okay, so you kind of go sideways a little bit. This takes me a little bit each time.
There's some grooves you got to line up. If you look on the lid, it shows you if she'll stand still. It gives you direction right to open, close with arrows.
Yeah, but what do I line it up with? Oh, I know what I do. I put it right there. It's down on this side, but not over here. Alright. You've got to get it just right.
Need some help?
Yep, you want to do it?
Yeah.
And I'll film you doing it. This is always a struggle for me. Have I got it turned around backwards? I had the pot backwards. I knew something wasn't right.
It will only go one way.
Okay, so look, the steam's already coming out pretty hard. I need something behind that so I can show them the steam. Do you see that? Yes, the steam coming out of that spout, it's coming out already good and steady. And you want to make sure it's a good, steady, hard stream before you put the weight on. So we're putting the weight on now.
And that's what makes it build pressure. It's already built pressure. See?
And look, the pressure valve is already up, this little thingy. And we're just going to wait for the pounds to go up.
That also lets you know that you've got it sealed completely, because if that doesn't pop up,
steam's coming out somewhere else.
The pressure will get out around the seal. So that's your indicator that you have everything on correctly.
All right. So we're going to wait for this little weight to start dancing, and we're going to wait for the pounds to get to 18. And the needle's already heading up. And so I'll bring you back when we get close to the 18 mark. Once it gets, you don't want to leave at this point. You don't want to leave your kitchen at this point. You stay here. I'm going to cut the back burner off. Be sure I'm cutting the back off, not the front. So this is the first green beans of the season going in. It's already to 5 pounds. I don't know if you can tell that, but the needle's already going up. And with this type of stove, for some reason, I'm glad I can it this way, because it's hard to regulate the temperature, the up and down. Where on my normal other stove, it was easy. So I'm glad I do it the way we're doing it now. Well, what's the way we've done it for the last 19 years. But anyway, do not leave your kitchen at this point. Okay, as you can see, the weight is starting to dance around, and we are at 17 pounds. So I am getting ready. Do you see my weight dancing? We are almost at 18 pounds. Alright, I believe we are at 18 now. And I am just going to come here and cut it off. I don't touch anything. Don't touch the weight. Don't touch anything. I've cut the heat off. You don't touch the lid until this little thing right here has fell back down. So, I'm good here. I'm going to go pick the garden while it comes down. While the pounds come down, the weight, the pressure. I'll say it right in a minute. And I'll be back in just a little bit. Okay, guys, our little tab just fell down, so I'm going to go ahead and take the weight off now. Alright, so I'm going to take the lid off. Okay, guys, there's my 3 jars of green beans, and this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. They have all sealed. You know, I love to hear that little ping of the lid sealing, and I have heard it 3 times, so they have all sealed. I'll label the lid, and so now we're moving on to cucumbers. I thought I'd show you guys one of my peaceful spots on the farm. It is one of my favorite places, and I think it's so beautiful. There's a natural spring somewhere around here. Water's always moving. And it's just so beautiful. And I think you can see where, oh look, there's a bird. It's just gorgeous out here. Just gorgeous. Hey guys, and thank you for watching The Farm and Pastor's Wife. I hope you enjoyed learning how to preserve and to can green beans. To me, there's nothing more rewarding than putting up food, whether I have grown it myself or if I've purchased it. But I did grow these green beans. That was the first picking, so there's going to be a lot more to come. I'll probably do a Facebook Live video sometime soon on canning it when I have Bryant's undivided attention, because he's my cameraman and moderator. Narrator, moderator, whatever. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed learning how to can green beans. We're going to learn how to do a lot of things this summer. Tomatoes will be coming soon. More green beans. I'm kind of done with the squash and the zucchini. We just plant way too much. But cucumbers are still coming in. I'm doing pickles. We got purple hulls coming in. We got okra fixing, not coming in yet, but they'll be coming in soon. And we've got corn. So we got a lot. We're just at the beginning stages, and the green beans have just started. So that being said, thank you for watching The Farm and Pastor's Wife. Tune in for more canning and cooking videos. And remember, if the grease is hot enough, you can fry anything.